Morning, guys, and good morning. I'm sorry if there's a different angle. I had to sense. So, good morning once again, Chaotix and Mama Jem. Today I thought I would do a little bit of a family update. Um, First of all, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been praying for us in light of my personal page uh, confessions, I guess you could say. I really appreciated it, and we really do need it still. Um, we had found out some things, and we're just trying to process it and move forward beyond it. So, um, please continue to pray for us if you feel led to, and thank you so much if you have or had pray for us. Um, I thought I would talk today about a few things uh, that have been going on beyond that. And the first thing is keto and intermittent fasting. Now, a few months ago, I had heard about it, and I had heard it. It sounded like a buzzword, a diet buzzword, and I just said, "Well, that's nice, but I'm gonna stick with what I know, which is my slim fast and just trying to eat to the best of my ability, sensibly." Well, I kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. And as I've known, because I've dieted on and off for pretty much half my life, I knew that just like with all diets, it has a peak, and then you don't hear about it, and then you hear another diet word that's everybody's doing. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get too invested. I looked a little bit into it because a lot of people said it's a lot like low carb, and I was like, okay, well, why don't they just call it low carb? Because it focuses on high fats, moderate meats, and very little sugars and carbohydrates. Don't fully know what the difference is between that and like the Atkins or other diets that are considered low carb, but I just figured, you know what? I looked into it a little bit. The recipes had some really weird sounding things in it. And I was like, okay, that stuff sounds expensive. So I don't know if I want to do that. So then probably, I want to say like 2 weeks ago, I brought it up in my co-op with some lady friends of mine and just said, I'm dieting and this is how much I lost and stuff like that. And then I said, are you guys doing anything? And the one lady, first word out of her mouth was keto. And I was like, oh boy, here we go again. This stupid buzzword. But she talked to me a little bit more in depth about it. And then I was like, well, that sounds like something maybe. I said, I'm going to talk to my husband because he is also needing to lose weight. But he struggles with overeating because I tend to cook a lot of food. And he's usually the one that gets all the leftovers. So I talked to him about it, and he was all gung-ho about it until I said, but there's like no carbs. And at first he was like, okay, that doesn't sound so bad. But then I said, there's no potatoes. And if you guys don't know us, we live in Idaho, and my husband is like a very stereotypical Idaho person in the way that he loves his potatoes. And or that, I guess maybe that's a man thing, I don't know. So he kind of got a little upset about that and was like, I don't think we can do that because I love my potatoes. And I was like, okay, well, I was just looking into it. If nothing else, maybe I'll try it because, it's cheaper if one person tries it, and then we'll take it from there. So, I thought about looking into it, but I was kind of, with everything else going on, I wasn't sure if I should or if I shouldn't. And like I said, money is the big factor in this because, they have some really wonky sounding stuff for like substitute sweeteners and flour replacements, and I was just like, that just all sounds really expensive, and I don't know if I can do that with even just me. I can't justify it. So the next day my husband went to the doctor because he's been having issues with his back, and he went to a different doctor this time than our usual doctor because excuse me, our doctor was on vacation, and he had to get a female doctor that was new. And she gave him a report, a print off of several things. One of the issues that he's having with his back is that he definitely needs the physical therapy, but he can't do it because of his job schedule, because he's usually gone most of the week, and as a result he can't schedule appointments, he can't make it in town for stuff like that. So she printed off several things, and it was just so funny because, like I said, I spoke to him the night before about keto. He comes home and I said, hey honey, how'd it go? How was the doctor's appointment? What they say? What's the next steps? He like literally throws the papers at me and storms off. And I look at the papers, and the second thing on the paper was to start a keto diet. And at first I laughed about it, and then I was like, haha, you gotta do what I just suggested to you. But then after it sank in a little bit, I realized, oh, wait, that means I have to do the keto diet. He has the easy part because all he has to do is eat what I make, but I'm the one that has to cook all this stuff, and I don't know how to cook anything really keto. So like that night I was kind of grumbling a little bit about it, and I was just like, do we really have to do this? And he said, well, that's what my doctor said. So she said she's done it, and she's lost a lot of weight too in a short amount of time. And I was just like, but it's gonna be expensive. And so I looked a little bit more, and it turns out that something that we had joked about a year ago is what we're actually starting this week. So, because like I said, money is a big factor for us, and I'm really worried about it. And I'm not worried about money. I'm just worried about the money on the diet, if that makes sense. Because our grocery budget is, including some toiletries, is anywhere between like $200 to $500 a month. And even that, to me, it's still pretty good. If we're closer to the $500 end, it's pretty good. On rare occasions, I'll get it more than $600 to $700, but we'd have to be pretty empty on a lot of things in order for that to happen. So, I was trying to figure out how to start this as frugally as possible, and I knew we needed to start it to gain momentum or whatever. So what I did was I looked online, and something that we had joked about a year ago is what we're going to get doing this week. And that is the bacon diet. And the way that works is that you just eat bacon for however long you determine. Some people only do it for a week. Some people do it for a month. Some people do it for longer than a month. It largely just depends on what your goals are. We had just enough bacon in our freezer from a sale over the summer that we didn't lose to our deep freezer, because that's another story in itself. We lost 2 deep freezers since getting married because we bought used, and they both went to crap within months. But the bacon was salvaged. We had several large amounts of pounds bacon, and I said, well, we have this bacon, we can do the bacon diet. And it's, oddly enough, it's keto. It actually is an awareness thing for people that want to expose others to keto. So we had this bacon. I said, let's do it. And he, of course, my husband's all like, yeah, I get to eat bacon. And I am kind of hesitant. As most of you know, I am a huge lover of bacon. I love, love, love bacon. But I grew up with the mindset that if you eat too much, you're going to get a heart attack. You could die. It's going to clog your arteries. So I was kind of like, I don't know about this. So I started looking it up, and I saw other people doing it and losing a decent amount of weight. And the way it works is you literally just eat cooked bacon, but you eat a set amount depending on if you're a man or a woman. And you can add supplements to it if you want to, if you have issues getting sick or whatever, because there is a thing called keto flu, which I'm still looking up a little bit. But we decided to do it this week. So that is our thing this week. I am going to be posting videos of my just how I feel each day, because I'm still really, really leery of this. I'm still super scared that I'm going to get sick, or that it's going to turn me off on bacon forever. And that's going to really suck, because as you guys know, I freaking love bacon, but I don't think I love it enough to make it a meal. So we're going to see how that goes, because I really don't want to hate bacon because of this. The other thing too that I'm having a little bit of apprehension about is it's going against everything I've been taught, which was that you have to watch your calories, you have to watch your sugar, well, you have to watch your fat. It's stereotypical diets, and you have to watch how much like saturated fats and stuff like that. And with keto, you still have to do some of those things to a point, but it heavily relies on healthy fats and meat, and that kind of throws me off, because like I said, I was a vegetarian vegan for several years, and I have long stretches of time where I just don't want to eat meat, and I just cannot stand meat, and I just want to like eat nothing that resembles meat. And meat is like a large portion of this diet. Oils and fats are the biggest portion, but meats are a close second. And I'm kind of leery of that. I'm not sure how we're going to go on with that. And the other thing I said is the alternate flours and sugars and stuff like that. That is a big problem for me, because those prices. I know some people say all the time, you know, oh, well, if you buy healthier things, it's going to cost more, and stuff like that. And I've been on that bandwagon before, and I know that I do feel better, but I know initially I'm going to be cringing at the prices and stuff. So that is a concern of mine now too. So this week we're doing the bacon experiment to get started and hopefully get us into a state of ketosis. I don't know how well that's going to work. I'm kind of sad I have to give up coffee, because it said that you can have coffee, but you have to have it with heavy cream and a tiny amount of sugar alternative. I do actually have stevia, but I'm kind of leery of trying it because I've never had it before, and I've had sugar alternatives growing up because I had family that was diabetic and hated it. So I don't know how this is going to end up. And plus I'm used to flavored creamers. I'm used to vanilla creamer. I like right now, what is it called? There's a peppermint bark creamer that's out right now, because it's not even close to Christmas, but whatever, they're selling it and I bought it. And yeah, I have to give it up, and I'm kind of bummed, because I really that's like my favorite creamer of the year. So like I said, they do say you can have heavy creamer, you can do the bulletproof, but I don't know, the bulletproof kind of just turns me off because it's not sweet. I like coffee, and I like my sweet coffee. So I have to give up coffee for a little bit until I can figure out how I'm gonna work my way around that. Let's see, I'm looking off of a list in case you guys are wondering. Oh, so our stats for this is and don't cringe, well, I guess I won't see you do it, but my starting weight for right now is 212. Granted, I have lost several pounds since originally starting my weight loss journey back in, when was it? July. Yeah, the end of June, July. I was originally 221, so I did lose a decent amount for that time period. I could have lost more, but I was kind of fluctuating between trying to figure out what was good for my body and what works, and I was trying really hard to at the same time, I guess, have my cake and eat it too, which I can't really do anymore. So my starting weight right now is 212. I was like 209 about a week ago, but since I realized that we had to do keto, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna live it up and just let go of myself for a little bit, since I don't know what we're gonna be doing after we continue on with the keto. And I gained a few pounds as a result. So my husband's stat was that he weighs 247. And I am going to do another post on my Facebook page for this channel, where I show you a picture of what I sent him off with this week. And it's really funny because it is literally just stacks and stacks of bacon, and some hard-boiled eggs, because we decided to do the bacon and hard-boiled egg diet for this week. And if you guys are interested in trying to see what that's like, or if you think you might want to try it because you just love bacon or whatever, I would suggest to you to Google the bacon experiment. This guy is the guy who started it, and he's really good. And he will answer any of your questions. He also has a Facebook page if you guys are interested. I'm not endorsing him. I'm not endorsed by him. Well, I guess I am endorsing him or something, but I'm not endorsed by him. So just give him a message, or go on the Facebook page, or go Google it, because he has an email that he can send you out so that you know what the guidelines are for it. Yeah. I am also going to mention today that we had a Stepford Wife Weekend, sort of, so to speak. And what does that mean? Well, this is the first time since we've been married that all three of my kids were not home for a weekend. And that was the first that had ever happened. I think, honestly, just for me, and also through my marriage, because pretty much since the get-go, of course, I've had my kids. I was a single mom, and I am very protective of them. But they went away on a quiz trip this weekend, and this was the first time that I had been alone, and this is the first time that I had been alone with my husband. And at first I was really nervous, because our life not revolves, I shouldn't say that, but our life is heavily around our kids. And for us to not have any of them, and then on top of that, to be together and on a pay weekend, like, it was really awesome. It was probably almost a recipe for disaster, but it wasn't completely, so that's good. So what did we do this weekend without the kids? Well, I had my heart set, because I had been having my heart set on trying to have a honeymoon-ish of some kind weekend. We had tried it back in, I want to say, March of this year, but things didn't fall into place, and it just didn't happen, and I was bummed. And we didn't really have a honeymoon to begin with. Excuse me, guys. I just woke up, so excuse my appearance too. But anyways, so what did we do? Well, on Friday, I dropped my kids off for their trip, and I pretty much went straight to Walmart right afterwards. I probably should not have been trusted by myself to go to Walmart, but I did. And I told a funny story on my personal page, and I'll share it with you guys, because some of you aren't friends with me on there. And that is that the first thing is, I went straight to the women's intimate department, because I have lingerie, but it's all been regurgitated and reused like 100 times. And plus, with me losing some weight, I wasn't sure how I would fit it, if I still could fit it, etc. So I just said, I want to get something new. Well, if you guys are not aware of this, which I was not, or, well, I was to a degree, but I kept hoping, well, maybe it's different here, because I tried this kind of right before I got married, and excuse me, and it didn't work out. But I went to Walmart and looked for the lingerie, and there is none. I was so upset, because this is like the second or third time I've tried to look for it, and apparently if it's not Valentine's Day or like the start of summer, you will not find lingerie in Walmart. So I was kind of bummed about that. Um, but I did go and I got some things to make a romantic dinner at some point. I knew I had kind of a rough plan in my head after I talked to a few people on Facebook about it. And so we didn't have any lingerie, whatever. So I did get some candles because I wanted candles, and I just like the glow of candles. And my husband had said to me that he really wanted to have a night where we sleep in front of the fireplace. That sounds really romantic until you realize that our fireplace is in our dining room and it's a hardwood floor. So, but I tried, and I got everything. I pulled out the table as far as I could so we'd have some room in front of the fireplace. I cleaned the area around the fireplace. I tidied up the house to the best of my degree. And if you guys can see behind me at all, I apologize because my kids, when they came home, they just literally dumped their stuff on the floor. So I just was like, whatever, that's their responsibility to clean up today because they were really tired. But anyways, cleaned up the house to the best of my ability. I got all the blankets in the house and literally laid them down to make a makeshift mattress because our mattress would not fit on the floor in that area. And I bought some steak and I bought some shrimp, and I intended on making a surf and turf kind of dinner for at least Saturday. And then Friday I said, you know what, it's just the two of us, how about I order pizza instead of making it? So he had a doctor's appointment that afternoon, and then on the way back home we got his medicine and we got Pizza Hut, which was really nice. And it was just the two of us, and he picked a topping and I picked a topping, and that was kind of cute. But then we came home and it was really interesting. And that's my dog behind me, if you guys can see me behind the couch there. We got home and it was so cute because he kept saying like, oh, we could run around the house naked if we wanted to. And I was like, that's not happening because it's freezing. Because our house we have central air, but we don't use it because it doesn't, I don't know what is up with it, but it does not do a good job throughout the whole house. So like during the winter time, what we do instead is we have the fireplace in the dining room, which we use for the main area, which is where we're usually at during most of the day. And then at night we use the heaters. But the weather's been so weird lately that I can never figure out when we're supposed to start and stop these things. So I just said, can you please just put the fire, can you please just get the fire started because it's freezing in here. And I did find one thing that I had in my own personal. We did sleep in front of the fireplace. It was amazing. I will say that much. That's all I will say. It was amazing. And the only thing is that he couldn't stay up all night and tend to the fireplace. So at one point it did get too cold and he restarted it, and then we tried to go back to sleep and we couldn't. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. We were both kind of tired. And then Saturday, I had it in my mind that I wanted to take him to the movies because we hadn't been to the movies in a while. And we haven't really had a date because we've been trying to do some things financially, like save up for the tubal reversal and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what, let's treat ourselves. Let's go to the movies. So I saw a movie, and I'll talk about a little bit more about that in a minute. And there's my cat behind me. If you guys, you guys on YouTube can't see it, but on Facebook they can see my cat behind me, probably cleaning himself. Anyway, so on Saturday I wanted to take us to the movies, and I'll talk about the movie in a minute. But then I got an email. I checked my email, which you shouldn't do, but I'm glad I did to a degree. And that was that I had a meal signed up. I signed up for a meal train because one of the ladies in my Bible study had a baby. And I signed up for this like 2 weeks ago and completely forgot about it. So I was like, oh, that's great. And I forgot to buy the stuff for it. So then I had to go to the store, and we woke up we finally got up and moving a little later than usual. Was, I want to say like 9-ish. By the time we got somewhat situated and had breakfast, it was closer to 10. 10:30-ish. And then by 11, I was showered and ready for the day. And then I realized, oh, I have to go to the store to get this stuff. So then I did that. And I went and got that. And then I pretty much like dropped the groceries off. And then we had to go to the movie because the movie started at noon. And we live roughly about 30 minutes away from the movie place. So we went to the movie, and we came home afterwards. Um, I started making my friend's meal, and then I looked to see where she lived, thinking she lived 30 minutes away. She did not. She actually lived roughly an hour away. So I was like, all right. And I asked my husband if he wanted to come with. And to my surprise, he said yes, he wanted to come with. So that was really nice because we got to spend an hour in the car driving. And instead of being separated, which I was trying to make this more just about spending time with him more than anything else. We did that. We dropped off the food. We came back home. I started dinner for us. We had steak, which, if some of you know, that's probably something like every Stepford wife should master. However, I am not the person to do that. I don't know how to do steak. I try, and maybe it's just I buy the wrong cuts of steak. I don't know, but I usually tend to go for the cheaper ones that are $3 to $4 or less a pound, because I can't justify buying a piece of meat that's more than that unless it's a holiday or special occasion or something. But, and I know this could have classified as a special occasion, but I had already spent more than I had intended to with going to the trip to Walmart and stuff. So I was like, I want to be a little lenient on the steak thing. So I think it was like a $3 steak thing, and it was just two huge long steaks. And I cooked those to the best of my ability. I literally cooked in butter, onions, and garlic, and salt and peppered it. Because everybody keeps saying to me, if you want a good steak, you just cook it in butter. Well, I cooked it in butter and it still turned out chewy. So, and if you guys have any tips for steak, leave me them below. For the record, I've tried marinating it. I've tried potting it. I've tried cooking it on the grill. The grill is probably the only time I have made it semi-decent. But my husband loves steak, and that's like his number one favorite cut of meat. And I can't cook it, and it sucks. And I'm trying really hard, and I've eventually stopped doing it for a while because I feel like I'm wasting money, because my husband will still eat it, but it's almost like he just eats it because it's there, not because he actually like thoroughly enjoys it. So anyways, I made the steak and I made the shrimp, which, for the record, I bought pre-made. It was already battered and fried, and all I had to do was pop it in the oven. It was almost like shrimp fish sticks or something. It was real awesome. Excuse me. So I bought the shrimp. I was going to do baked potatoes, but we got home so late that I knew if I had done that, it would have been even later for us to have our dinner. So I just ended up swapping out the potatoes for rice. I did broccoli. I bought steak rolls and completely forgot about them, because that's me. So sorry, my cat's asking me to be let out, and I'm like, nope, sorry. So I bought the steak rolls, didn't use them. We still have them. So then I also made pumpkin dumplings, which I'd been craving, and I knew he was gonna like, because he's not a huge fan of pumpkin spice stuff, but he does like pumpkin desserts. So I made that. I bought some ice cream to go with it. I bought him the lactose-free one because, if you guys don't know, my husband is kind of lactose intolerant. He really should not be having any form of lactose. But he still does, because he likes his cheeses, and I can't find cheaper cheese stuff. So anyways, we had that, and we had a good dinner. Since we had went to the movies, we decided, well, we didn't want to watch another movie, so then we watched a show that we both like, which is Grace Under Fire. I don't know if you guys remember that show or not. And then we went to bed because we were tired. And then Sunday, he had to get ready to go, and we went to church, and we said goodbye in a Stepford way, and and then I drove with him to his job to say goodbye. So it was a good weekend, and I know that there's gonna possibly be some slack because I did most of the heavy work for this weekend, but I feel like that men need to be spoiled sometimes too, and my husband doesn't completely, like most men, I guess, know how to spoil a wife in that way. So I figured I'd get the ball rolling and start it myself. And we will have, I think, 2 more times this school year to have that happen. And I think I'm gonna let him do it next time. But if he says no, I'm gonna be okay with that because I loved doing it this weekend. I really did. I loved being able to go out and think about how I was gonna bless him in that way. For a whole weekend. It was really nice. He loved it. He said he can't wait to do it again. And it really brought us closer than we've been in a long time. So I would suggest if you guys have the opportunity to do that, don't wait for your husband to do it or your wife to do it. If you feel led to do it, just do it. And since I usually speak to women, I would highly suggest that you guys just, you take that step. What do you want and what would you think your husband would want, and go from there. So I know that in today's world, we have a lot of people that say that your husband's supposed to woo you and wow you and do all this stuff, and he's supposed to be supportive, and I get that, and my husband is those things, but sometimes, after a week of working, he just can't think that way, and that's okay. And sometimes I have to take the lead, and I'm okay with that because we're still getting our needs met regardless of who's initiating it and who's doing it. I don't mind doing it. I do a lot of other things that, he can't do, and I'm all right with that. So, if you have the opportunity to ever do that at home or elsewhere, just do it. That's my little soapbox rant, and I'm getting off that now. My last thing is that I wanted to talk about the movie that we had watched. It was called Gosnell. I don't know the full title. It's like America's most worst serial killer or something, but don't let the title fool you. It is about an abortionist that was in Pennsylvania that was ultimately charged with several murders because of the way that he did his abortions. Now, excuse me, I do not usually go and on my personal pages or on my blog, or at least I try not to, and spout at the mouth about abortion or pretty much any political topics if I can help it, because I want this to largely be about food, serving your husband, God, and children if I can help it. But this movie really hit me in the feels because I was in Pennsylvania when all the stuff was going down. I wasn't in that particular area, but I was pretty close enough to know about what was going on by the news. And it really shocked me how much I did not know went on behind the scenes of that whole court trial and proceedings, even though I was really close to it. I will tell you, regardless of your stance on abortion, you need to go see that movie. You need to go see that movie. You need to go take your husband. It is not something, I will say, side note, if you were trying to do a romantic weekend, I probably wouldn't recommend watching that movie, not because it's gory or gross. There are some things that are mentioned because they are dealing with abortion, but you don't usually see a whole lot of it. But if you guys want to know, if you're on the fence of where you stand with it, if you have no opinion of it, this will make you have an opinion on it. Seriously. Like I said, I found out things that I did not know, and I lived probably an hour and a half or so away from where it all took place. Excuse me. So, I found out stuff I did not know. And it is a very good movie. It is made, I think, I want to say it's by a Catholic filmmaker, but I could be wrong on that. Do not quote me. If anybody knows, please leave a comment, let me know. But for the most part, it is by, as far as I know, a Catholic filmmaker. And people who have any opinion, even if it's no opinion, even if it's an uncertain one on abortion, need to go see that movie. Seriously. So I'm a little upset that more people aren't talking about this movie, because it was a huge deal a few years ago. They kind of swept it under the rug really fast too, which upset me. The only way I got most of the information I did get about it, the trial and the proceedings, was oddly enough from alternative news websites. The mainstream media kind of mentioned it for like a week or two, and then we didn't hear anything else about it. There were months of coverage on it in alternative news websites, and I'm saying this like for people who may not know that, because I didn't think about it until after I started watching the movie, how little was actually done in the mainstream media. But I'm upset that there's not enough discussion about it. There's not enough. I haven't seen any commercials for it. I haven't seen any previews for it anywhere other than YouTube, and that is largely because I subscribe to Catholic news channels and Catholic channels in general. Not because I'm Catholic, I'm not, but just because I like to see, I like to get information from different sources. So I'm not quite as biased, I guess. I don't know, but that was the only way I heard about this movie, and I would challenge you guys to go and watch this movie seriously. Because it really opened up my eyes to what's going on that we don't know about. And also, excuse me, I'm sorry I'm so burpy and my throat's all raspy. I just woke up. But I would challenge you guys to watch it, for real. Because when we went into the movie, we were kind of floored, because we came in 15 minutes late, because like I said, I got those groceries for my friend's meal, and we literally were like dashing out the door, and we were still 15 minutes late. And I'm thinking like, we're gonna have to arm wrestle somebody for a seat, because I was assuming that it would be packed, because I know in my own circle there's a lot of people who are very strongly opinionated about abortion. So I said there has to be a big outcome for this. We got in there, granted it was Saturday, it was the noontime movie, maybe there wasn't a lot of people in general at the movie theater, I don't know, but we got in there and it was empty. Or at least we thought it was empty. We had our choice of literally any seat in the theater for this. And after the movie, we finally realized there was 2 other people in the theater room with us. 2. For an abortion movie. What the heck? Why was that a thing? I was so upset to see that. And the ladies and I had talked a little bit. I don't know why it's not getting out there, but y'all need to go out and see this movie. If you do not see this movie, I would highly suggest you get it on DVD, because I have my opinion on abortion, but this really made it drive home further that I need to be more passionate about this, because this is an issue that affects all of us, whether you choose to believe it or not. So, with that said, I also wanted to share with you my story, because y'all like story times. I wanted to share with you my personal story with Planned Parenthood. It's not gory, it's not awful, so don't worry about it if you're that way. First of all, a few years ago, many years ago, I was 17. I had met someone, and hi Sherlock, my cat, sorry. Come here, kitty. Here, let's go say hi to the people. Oh, this is my cat Sherlock. Say hi, everybody. He looks like he's done with my crap. So, when I was 17, I met someone, and we did the deed, and a few times, and I thought to myself that I might be pregnant. Well, I was kind of broke, and the guy had said to me, sorry you guys get a full view of my cat. The guy said to me, why don't you go to Planned Parenthood? And I was like, I don't know. At the time, I was pro-choice, but I I automatically assumed, like most people do, that Planned Parenthood is abortions and that's all they do. And he said, well, I know for a fact they give out free pregnancy tests to people who are under, I think it's 18. I don't know if it's for everybody, but at the time that we went, he said to me it was not for people that are under 18, and I fit the bill. So I was like, I don't know. Okay. So we went, and the first time we went, it came up negative because I tested too soon. And then they said, come back in a few weeks and we'll give you another test free of charge. And I was like, okay, this sounds nice. So we went again, and before I could get the test results, I thought it was really weird because they separated me from my boyfriend. I don't know if that's standard protocol, because it's medical confidentiality or what, but they separated us from each other before they told us the test results. And they put me in a room, and a nurse came in and told me that I was pregnant. She didn't say congratulations, which I guess if you're 17 and pregnant, you're not married, then not too many people want to dish out congratulations, which is fine. But she told me your test came back positive. And I was like, oh, okay. And I got ready to get up and walk out because I thought, well, that's all there is. She just told me the results of my test, as she should. But she asked me to sit down. She asked me a few questions, which I figured are standard. She asked me if I was raped, and I said no. She asked me if I was in an abusive situation, no. And then she looked at me and said, do you want to terminate the pregnancy? And I'm like, no. And I thought that would be the end of it. But she said, are you sure? And I'm like, why are you asking me this? I thought I was just here for a free pregnancy test. She started cornering me for several minutes, telling me that I should end this pregnancy because I was young and I had my whole life ahead of me, and this could really alter my life. Now, I know getting pregnant at 17 doesn't sound like something someone with a PhD might do, but I thought of myself as relatively smart back then, and I thought, I think I know what I'm doing. No, I don't want an abortion. And she kept asking me repeatedly, are you sure? Are you sure? Because this is really going to ruin your life. If you plan on going to college, you can pretty much kiss that goodbye. And then I realized I'm in an abortion clinic getting a pregnancy test. They don't make money if I don't, for a pre-pregnancy test. They make money if I have an abortion. And it upset me, and I got up and I said, I appreciate your concern, but I know what I'm doing. And my answer is no. And I left there, and it was, again, it's so weird because it was inner city, so I don't know, but they had us go through 2 separate doors to go get out too, which I thought was really weird. But again, that was my one and only experience with Planned Parenthood. I walked out, he walked out of a different area. We met up around the corner. I told him the news, and he started crying because he was really happy, because we both kind of thought maybe this might not be a bad thing if I'm pregnant, and he was happy. But my perception on Planned Parenthood changed after that, big time. I was very, very pro-choice at that time. And I knew that if I ever encountered that situation myself, I would not choose abortion. But I figured, what you do is between you and God, ultimately, even though I wasn't really a heavy believer in God at the time. But After that day, I was pro-life because it floored me how much they were trying to pressure me into having an abortion when all I really came in there for was a free pregnancy test. And I know that, money talks and stuff like that, but it really flabbergasted me how much they pushed that on me within minutes of me getting the news. And if you guys know my family or see my personal page or we're friends, you guys know that um, that little person was Solstice, my oldest daughter. If I had listened to that lady, I would not have had my oldest daughter. She's 14 years old now. And I can't imagine my life without her. And for them to sit there and pressure me into thinking that maybe this is a viable option just shocked me. And I don't care at this point. And of course, I'm not judging anyone because I've done many things in my own past, but I will stay very far away from any given Planned Parenthood, and I will not recommend them regardless of how many services they offer because of what I know now and my one experience with them. I'm sure not all Planned Parenthoods are like that, but that one was enough for me during a very vulnerable time. Like I said, I was 17 and pregnant. And by the world's definition, I probably should have had an abortion. But that skewed my thinking for the worst because it made me realize how many times do they do that to girls throughout the country? How many times do they make it sound like it's socially acceptable if they are on the fence or even if they're just scared and not sure? And I can't recommend them. I am sure they do awesome services otherwise. I've heard that they do breast cancer screenings. I've heard that they don't do breast cancer screenings, and I'm not at that position to know right now because I go somewhere else for my breast cancer screenings, but I cannot with absolute certainty recommend them for anything anymore because of that one experience. They could have just let it go. And I don't know who that nurse was. I don't know how they work it, but I just know that from that time, that altered greatly my personal experience with Planned Parenthood and with the idea of abortion at large. So, as a result, in seeing this movie, it further drove home that I need to be more passionate about this because there's a lot of things that we don't know that go on behind the scenes of the abortion industry, and not just Planned Parenthood, because if I'm not mistaken, this guy wasn't even affiliated with Planned Parenthood at all. He was just his own clinic. But it just shocks me to know that there was so much misinformation out there of what really happened, and there was so little information of what happened during that time that I would say to you, go see this movie. And if you don't have an opinion, or even if you do, you still need to see this movie because you may not be as informed as you think you are about what really happens during an abortion. And I'm not saying that to say to sway you one way or the other, because you have a right to believe whatever you want on it, but I would like people, if nothing else, to know why they believe what they believe and what really goes on with what they believe. Even if you still support it, I'd still like you to be informed of how it all happens. So please go see this Gosnell movie. Please, I beg of you, and I am praying that I've never prayed over a movie, but this is one movie that I am praying more people go out to see. So, I think that's all I needed to ramble on about. Sorry, guys. That's all. Whoops. I don't know why, but my phone screen froze. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I will be back on. I will not be on for 50 minutes again tomorrow. I will literally be on for a few minutes telling you how I feel about my keto and my bacon experiment. I just felt like I needed to say a lot today for some reason. So, I hope you guys have a blessed day. And we'll see how tomorrow goes. It's 9 o'clock here now. I will not be eating probably till 10:30, 11 o'clock because I usually don't eat until then anyways. But I'll let you know how it goes. I'm probably going to just keep going with intermittent fasting. I forgot to mention that, by the way. I did start intermittent fasting. I didn't know that most people do keto and intermittent fasting together. I did intermittent fasting with some fast. Um, I really liked it. I actually lost more weight doing just the intermittent fasting alone than I did just doing Slim Fast. I was really amazed by that. And I am going to be doing that. And the way that works, if you guys don't know, is you fast for a certain window of time and then you eat for a certain window of time. So um, you have to build it up. You can't just like extreme fast right away, go to the most extreme unless you guys are already used to that. I'm not. Um, I have experimented, and so far 16-8 seems to be my thing, where I fast for 16 hours and then I have an 8-hour window to eat. And I usually don't start eating. I didn't even know I was really doing it, but I am. Um, I'm a little more intentional about getting closer to the 8-hour mark than I was before, though. Uh, but I don't eat till 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then essentially you start to reduce your meals as well. Like you reduce snacks until you have, some people have done, I still had one. Um, the ultimate thing I think is 24, which is you fast for 20 hours and you eat within a 4-hour window, and then you eat just 2 meals. Some people only go with one meal. I don't know if I can do that because I like food too much. But as it stands right now, I'm trying to do the 16-8, which is 16 hours of fasting, 8-hour window to eat. And I'm doing the bacon experiment. I'm just going to be eating. For me, it is, I think it's 1.5 pounds, but I'm not going to be eating 1.5 pounds because I can't see myself eating that much. So like I said, I'm switching with that, with the bacon and eggs diet, which is for every so many slices of bacon, you eat a hard-boiled egg. And I have a 12-ounce package left, which I'm going to be cooking up in a few minutes. I'll be eating that throughout the day and eating some hard-boiled eggs to substitute for the remaining ounces that I'm missing in bacon. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. I'm sorry that was a little random and long, but I hope you guys have a good day. I will be back on tomorrow to tell you how I feel. And until next time, bye guys.